Well, good morning, y'all. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and that you had a chance to read the second half of the Odyssey. Last time, we left our hero Odysseus after he finished telling the Phaeacians all about his wild adventures with the Cyclops, the witches, the sirens, and trips to the underworld. Today, we're finally getting to the meat of the story. Odysseus returns to Ithaca after 20 long years and has to reclaim what's rightfully his. Now, the second half of the Odyssey, books 13 through 24, has a completely different feel from the first half, don't it? Instead of fantastic voyages across magical seas, we get a revenge plot. Homer shifts from adventure to something more like what we'd call a thriller. The structure looks something like this. Books 13 through 16, Odysseus returns to Ithaca and he meets Eumaeus and Telemachus. In books 17 through 20, Odysseus, disguised as a beggar, infiltrates his palace and observes the suitors. In books 21 and 22 is the contest of the bow and the slaughter of the suitors. And then in books 23 and 24, the reunion with Penelope and Laertes and the resolution. See how it builds up like a good gumbo simmering on the stove? Homer knew how to keep his audience on the edge of their seats. If I asked y'all to name the most important theme in this half, what would you say? That's right, disguise and recognition. Athena disguises Odysseus as an old beggar so he can spy on the suitors without them knowing who he is. This disguise lets Odysseus see who's been loyal, and each recognition is like another piece of Odysseus' identity being restored. He ain't just reclaiming his home, he's reclaiming who he is, a father. While all those no good suitors were living it up in the palace, a handful of characters have remained faithful to Odysseus. Eumaeus, the swineherd, bless his heart, the humble swineherd treats the disguised Odysseus with more kindness and respect than the high and mighty suitors ever would. It embodies proper xenia, sharing what little we have with a stranger. And even after 20 years, he still calls Odysseus his master and prays for his return, and that's loyalty. Then there's the nurse. This old woman raised Odysseus from a baby, and she's still the first in the household to recognize him by a scar on his thigh from a bear hunt when he was just a youngin'. Remember how she almost gives him away? Odysseus has to clamp his hand over her mouth to keep her quiet. She later helps him with his revenge, identifying which servant girls have been disloyal. And of course there's Penelope. Lord have mercy. This woman deserves a medal for patience. For 20 years, she's been holding off these suitors with her clever weaving trick, never giving up hope that her husband might return. And even when he does, she's cautious. She tests him with the secret of their marriage bed before accepting that it's really him. This massacre reminds us that the Odyssey belongs to a warrior culture with different values than our own. To Homer's audiences, this wasn't excessive. It was exactly what the suitors had coming. So why are we still reading this story nearly 3,500 years later? It's because underneath all the gods and monsters, it's about universal, the longing for home, the challenge of maintaining identity through hardship, the complexity of family relations, the tension between temptation and duty, and the restoration of justice after wrongdoing. Everyone has experienced some kind of odyssey in our lives, a long journey or period of wandering before finding where we will belong. That's why this ancient story still speaks to us today. Now, cast your minds back to our first epic hero, Gilgamesh. Both he and Odysseus, 1, journey to the edges of the known world, 2, encounter supernatural beings, 3, face trials and to test their limits, 4, they receive divine help and hindrance, and 5, they return changed by their experience. But while Gilgamesh seeks immortality and fails, Odysseus chooses mortality and his human connections over immortality with Calypso. This fundamental difference tells us something about the Greek values and how they differed from the Mesopotamian. The Odyssey teaches us that homecoming, what Greeks called nostos, ain't just about returning to a physical place. It's about reclaiming your rightful role in the world, reconnecting with loved ones, and restoring proper order after chaos. Next time, we'll be shifting gears and take a look at the Greek tragedy, Sophocles. Sophocles' Oedipus Rex. From a hero who finds his way home to a hero who, well, let's just say he's got some family issues. Be sure to read the play in full. And remember what the Odyssey teaches us. Sometimes the longest journey a person makes is the one back to themselves.